Lesson 81. In this lesson, we simply learn the plural of the dative case. Notice how the ending there is is with a macron over the I, and it's identical to the ablative plural. So if you see the word nautis, you'll have to decide if it's dative plural or ablative plural. Remember that to figure out what case it is, we use the context of the sentence, we rule out things that don't make sense, and we look at the word order. Also, keep in mind that the more you practice this stuff, the easier it will get. Speaking of practice, let's get some practice now with our exercises. In number 1, naramos is the verb. That means we tell or we are telling. Fabulas is the direct object, and that's plural. And nautis is the indirect object, that's in the dative case. The dative plural to be more specific. So number 1 will say, we are telling stories to the sailors. In number 2, narat is the verb. That means he, she, or it is telling. But we don't need the he, she, or it because nauta is the subject. Fabulam is the direct object, and agrikolis, in the dative plural, is the indirect object. So number 2 will say, the sailor is telling a story to the farmers. In number 3, narant is the verb. That means they tell or they are telling, but we don't need they because poetai is the subject. Fabulam is the direct object, and puelai is the indirect object. That's dative singular. So number 3 will say, the poets are telling a story to the girl. In number 4, sunt is the verb, feminai is the subject, and in silwa is a prepositional phrase. So, the women are in the forest. In number 5, amant is the verb. That means they love or they like. Incolai is the subject. Insularum is a genitive plural that's possessing incolai. Scaphos is the direct object. So number 5 will say, the inhabitants of the islands love boats. In number 6, ambulat is the verb. That means he, she, or it is walking. Poeta is the subject. In tabernam is a prepositional phrase. Notice how the accusative case is being used with the preposition in. That means that in means into. Sine pecunia is a prepositional phrase that means without money. So number 6 will read like this. The poet is walking into the shop without money. In number 7, portas is the verb. That means you are carrying. Semper means always, and pecuniam is the direct object. So number 7 says, you always carry money. In number 8, navigant is the verb. That means they sail or they are sailing, but we don't need they because nautai is the subject. Circum insulam means around the island, and in scaphis means in the boats. So number 8 will say, the sailors are sailing around the island in boats. In number 9, we have the word said, dividing the sentence into 2 smaller independent clauses. The first clause means the girls are in the school, and in the second clause we have the word et being used twice to mean both and. Desiderant is the verb. That means they want or they are longing for, and there are 2 direct objects there, octam and silwam. So the second clause will say, they are longing for both the seashore and the forest. So number 9 as a whole will say, the girls are in the school, but they are longing for both the seashore and the forest. In number 10, we have the word said again, dividing the sentence into 2 smaller independent clauses. In the first one, aramos is the verb. That means we plow or we are plowing. Teram means soil, and semper means always. So we always plow the soil. In the second clause, estis is the verb. That means y'all are. In silwa means in the forest, and semper means always. So y'all are always in the forest. So number 10 says, we always plow the soil, but y'all are always in the forest.